And even when they are not available, we call them and put them on speaker and said, I want to make this point. And they'll say, no, 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 you can't make that point. Somebody will say this, somebody will say that. So by the time we come together, we have either we have a consensus or we have a majority opinion.
So it's not a poll agenda that you execute on Good Evening Ghana?
Oh, I initiate because I lead and chair those meetings. So
you're producer
I initiate.
And presenter, or you're presenter alone? Which one are you?
There's no single producer. There are quite a few people, some of whom are not even regular. So depending on the topic, we call Bright Simmons and say that we want to say this. Is it? Can we say that? Is that the situation? That we do a lot of that. So there's a production team.
Okay, so you call people who help you production who are not necessarily coming.
No, there are those who are regular assistants to the production situation. But I'm saying that when we have a matter that I can remember somebody who has either written something about it or has developed some expertise about it, we would usually call and reach that person and say, we want to discuss this, and this is the point we want to make.
Okay, you get personal sometimes. Why do you do so? Is that journalism?
I don't get personal. I don't know what you mean by it. I mean, I don't understand what personal is. If I'm referring to something Martin Amidu has said, I don't think that is personal. I'm just referring to something he has said, and I'm disagreeing with him based on some research or based on some facts or based on some historical analysis. And news, if that is so, then news is personal, because fundamentally news is about events, people, and places. That's what news is about. Every news, current affairs item is about events, people, and places. So when it's about people and we think it's personal, then I'm not sure. It's personal when you are addressing somebody not based on something he has said, not based on an opinion he holds, but based on something that is personal. His head is short, this is that, he's this, or you talk about a woman's body and that kind of thing. But if you're addressing something somebody has expressed as his opinion and you are disagreeing with it, however vehemently you do, I'm not sure that's personal. That's what news is about. It's about events, people, and places.
But when you take Manasseh Azuri Awuni, Ghana Journalists Association called him Journalist of the Year a number of times, more than once, I believe it was. And you take his opinions and take his work and put him on your show and shred him into pieces. That is personal.
No, that's still analyzing somebody's work. That's
attacking someone's integrity and attacking someone's personality because they are doing a job.
Well, I don't agree with you. Attacking someone's personality is attacking what it says personality. It's not attacking his opinion. Attacking his opinion is different from attacking his personality or attacking his output, his outcomes after some work. It's different from attacking his personality. So you realize that when we talk about that, and we have to make reference to the person. I say my friend, I said my colleague. But then when I'm dealing with what he has put out, which I think is reckless or is not journalism, that's not personal. And I think we have to draw a distinction between attacking his personality, which would mean you're attacking his person. That's what it means. What constitutes a human being's person? What constitutes his personality? If you like, his disposition. That to say that he's arrogant, that to say that he's too humble, that to say that he's a talkative. Those are the adjectives that go to describe somebody who is personal or who is running a personal commentary upon another. If I'm saying that what he said is unconstitutional, that cannot be personal.
But you see, your viewers don't agree with this thing you're saying to me. Lots of your viewers, actually, when we advertised that you're coming on Good Evening, on Point Blank, said, please ask Paul, is he and Azuri chasing the same girl? That sounds very personal. That's how people say it. It's almost like you put him on the table every
I take that to be...
And there are times when people see your poster and you have his photo that they're like, oh, tonight is going to be an Azuri show.
Yeah, yes, but I take that to be a joke. As we say, to whom much is given, much is expected. And you know that Edmund Burke had talked about the fourth estate of the realm, the media. The responsibility on media people is higher in terms of what you put out. Because what you put out is most likely to be believed. These days, when a story pops up online, and I call you and I say that the story has come up and they said XYZ, you're probably going to ask me which website. If I mention some websites, you just laugh it off. If I mention it's on City Online, you take it more seriously. So journalists in mainstream media have a higher standard in terms of the thing that they put out, because people are most likely to believe it. What we call in journalism the believability quotient is very broad with journalists, practicing journalists in mainstream media, and therefore journalists have to be more careful if they have to put out something, whether it's opinion, whether it's information, whether it's a news report. And that is why the cost of libel is higher on the publisher than even the person who said it, the one who publishes, because the one who publishes operates a platform that owns a believability quotient. That's the point. So if a journalist says something, which is, so there's a juror situation, all of us are concerned and worried about it. And then people are writing anything they know about it, or anything they can hear. So if I go on Facebook, if Kofi Mensah goes on Facebook and says, my brother called me and he lives in Nigeria, and he said that it was a mob that attacked Kaka, well, that's okay. The punishment for that person is less than a regular journalist who publishes that a mob attacked Kaka, because he has a believability quotient and he has a responsibility to use that believability quotient in a more, in a better way than just being reckless. Okay. So when we set out to attack opinion, it cannot be personal. Personal is attacking the person's personality.
You have mentioned Edmund Burke and the Fourth Estate. We are journalists. Azuri believes that we should act as a pack of dogs against the officialdom to protect the pairs and to fight for the voiceless. You have chosen instead to attack one of the dogs in the pack. Why would you do that?
I have not chosen that. The journalism field is quite broad. And so you would have different aspects of journalism reporting. You have sports reporting, you have business reporting, you have political reporting, which I do. You have investigative reporting, which others do. So people can decide, and media houses elsewhere in places where journalism is very well established, media houses set out an agenda against political parties. So they established the media house that we belong to this. Even civil society groups like Brookings is democratic in America. The Republicans also have their civil society organization. So it's okay for a journalist to say that, as far as I'm concerned as a journalist, my philosophy is that I will keep a watchdog on the government. That's fine. There's no problem with that. But if you're keeping a watchdog on the government, you have to do it credibly. If you don't do it credibly, the courts are there to put a check on us. And because we have such a nascent democracy, we don't want the courts coming in as brutally as they would like to. We don't want to give the courts those opportunities. So yes, you can set out that, as far as I'm concerned, my philosophy is that I am going to look at the government with eagle eye. Any government with eagle eye, or every government with eagle eye. That's okay. That's good. That is acceptable. That is necessary for the growth of democracy. There's no problem with that. I can be a journalist and I decide that I know Umaru Sanda. I have observed Umaru Sanda from Parliament. I think Umaru Sanda should run for president. The day Umaru Sanda runs for president, I will use my newspaper to support him. That's also fair. That's legitimate. As a journalist, it's very, very legitimate. And that's why you find
projecting an agenda.
It's not an agenda. It is setting out to use your platform to support a politician that you have observed and that you believe in. It's not an agenda. An agenda is creating something that doesn't exist. That's what an agenda is. It's not an agenda.
So if we look at the Fourth Estate theory, executive, judiciary, legislature, then the media, we are all supposed to counterbalance each other or counter-check each other. If you have decided that instead of counter-checking the legislature or the executive, you're going to be promoting the executive, are you not defying the principle of...
I've not decided that I'm promoting
the executive. No, I'm just talking about in this particular context where you choose that this guy, I have to push him till he becomes MP or becomes minister. That is supporting someone.
That's what the New York Times does. Would you say the New York Times is wrong? It's a 200-year-old newspaper. That's what they do for the Democratic Party. They did that for Bill Clinton. They did that for John Kennedy. Would you say the New York Times is a bad newspaper?
Is that what you do?
No, I'm asking you.
Is that what you do?
No, I'm asking you. You are talking about denigrating a situation where an established media platform decides to promote something. I'm saying to you that the New York Times does that. The Concord in Nigeria was doing that for Moshood Abiola. It's a 50-year-old newspaper.
Is that what Good Evening Ghana at 20 years is doing?
But you should answer that question. You've seen Good Evening Ghana for 20 years. Is that what we do?
I haven't seen it for 20 years. I wasn't 20 years
ago. Well, so you should answer that question. It's a question for you to answer. I'm the producer of Good Evening Ghana. You are the viewer. You should make that determination.
There are viewers who, when they see you advertise anybody, any personality, especially under fire politicians, they say, oh, Paul has gone to set an agenda, or Paul is going to set an agenda. Are you an agenda journalist?
I don't understand what you mean by under fire politicians.
So if there's a politician who is in trouble, maybe there's a public backlash over somebody.
Yes.
That person appears on Paul's show, or there's a poster that said he'll be on Paul's show, Good Evening Ghana tonight. People take to social media and say, oh, Paul is an agenda journalist. He's going to help clean this person's mess for him. Is that what you do? Are you a cleaner?
But if you are cleaning people's mess and you, quote and unquote, if you are doing that, you will not be successful. You won't.
Why?
Because if you're cleaning people's mess and it's not cleanable, you will not be successful. There's something in politics and journalism called the tyranny of the majority. There's the tyranny of the majority. So if I see that Peter, I was going to say Mark Menu, Kweku Agyeman Menu is under fire, and I look at the situation and I have a different opinion, and it's a minority opinion, I will still push it intellectually, hoping that those who are willing to look at it objectively will understand me. And a few times we have succeeded in doing that, because the tyranny of the majority can run amok like an unruly horse in a situation like Ghana, in a nascent democracy, where people believe that they are the owners of the process, where some civil society media believe that they are the owners of the process. They orchestrate a tyranny of the majority. I would look at that situation and be sure that what we are doing, the way that we are all running, the Bible says that the broad way may be the wrong way, the narrow way may be the correct one. So I always endeavor to look at whether this situation is not representing the tyranny of the majority. If I find out that it is, I will do my research, and if there's another opinion that people have either overlooked because of enjoying the mob action of the tyranny of the majority, I'll bring out that point. That's what we have been doing, and we've been doing it ferociously.
This tyranny of majority thing that you try to do, is it not equal to
I don't do it. I observe it and try and raise an opinion opposite it.
Yeah, I mean, so you're counter to the tyranny of a majority thing. Do you not think that most of the times majority is right, even though majority is not always right?
But the Bible have said that majority, the way, the broad way is the wrong way. Haven't you heard that? I don't know whether most of the time majority is right or majority is wrong. I'm not, that's not my concern for this analysis. What I'm saying is that,
so for instance,
what I'm saying is that the tyranny, before I come out to make a determination that something is a tyranny of the majority, I will research it and see the facts. And often, many times, we have observed cogent facts that people have overlooked. And what is the tools of our analysis? The 1992 Constitution, the Acts of Parliament, the Acts of Procedure, historical analysis. These are the tools of our analysis. And when we apply these tools and we find that, look, this is wrong, they have overlooked that. They have overlooked the Constitution and they are perpetrating the tyranny of the majority. Our responsibility is to come out and point that out.
You hosted the former PPA boss, the man who was fired by the president clearly because of the work that was done against him. Did you believe that his story was not... Did you believe the majority was being tyrannical against him, for which reason you gave him the platform to do what he did?
No, I didn't give him a platform. I wanted to interrogate him so that my viewers will understand the whole story. That's what we do. We didn't give him platform. We invited him so that we will ventilate the facts. And if you look at the interview, look at the questions that we put to him, you will see that we went out to ventilate the facts so that viewers can now have an opportunity, because often the news is broad. There's so many news items. People hear it in snipers. They hear headlines and all of that. The other responsibility we have on Good Evening Ghana is that all the things that you have heard in snipers, we will bring you the full story so you can make your decision. Okay. So that's what we do. That's what we did with this one. We didn't bring him to we are not defense lawyers.
But if you thought that the person was not being treated fairly and you have a platform, when you bring them, why do you interrogate them? Why don't you lead the person in evidence? Because people think that's what you do.
We're not defense lawyers. We're not doing examination in chief. Neither are we doing cross-examination. We are ventilating the matter.
Do you lead your interviewees?
But that's what I'm saying, that we are not doing examination in chief. I'm answering your question. If we lead them on, we'll be doing examination in chief like they do in the trial.
There are views on your Facebook live feed that suggest that what you're doing is just edge a guy on to say ABC. What do you say to that?
They would have to. I mean, the opinions, as they say, everyone has opinion. But people who express that opinion will have to justify it. What we do is neither cross-examination nor examination in chief. It is to bring the person so that we can have the issue told in the full story. So there's no critical question that we don't ask when people like that come on board. And I have to let you know, and viewers also know, that when we are interviewing people, more often than not, we tell them the questions that we're going to ask them.
No, we give them synopsis. We don't tell them the questions.
You can't tell them the question because it's a live program, but I can tell them questions I'm going to ask them.
You give them synopsis.
No, I tell them questions I'm going to ask them.
What I was taught at the Ghana Institute of Journalism is to share the synopsis, not the questions. Because if you give the person a question, that becomes a commercial paid-for interview, which we do on the City Breakfast
I said that
where MTN would come with 10 questions, pay for them, and you ask those questions.
You have expressed a very limited opinion on the matter.
Okay.
If you don't give the person the questions, some documents that are relevant will not come to the studio, because at the end of the day, you want your viewers to understand. You have to tell the person, I am going to ask you.
You give questions or areas?
Everything, synopsis, questions, and areas. There are some that you have to give a specific question. I'm going to ask you that the board meeting that was held on 6 so and so, did the minutes say this? You have to bring the minutes to the studio. If you don't tell him that, he may not bring the minutes.
Why
of the
don't you
board
say
meeting.
to the person that will discuss issues around the board meeting or the minutes that you had around this?
Because I want him to be fully prepared for the answer that I want.
You are preparing the person to come and give testimony before you. And
have you read Larry King's book?
I haven't.
Okay, you should read Larry King's book. If you believe Larry King was a good
I
interviewer, you should read Larry King's book.
I have read other people. I have.
Well, but I don't find anything wrong with giving an interviewer a question. It doesn't mean you're giving him 10 questions, because I don't prepare with questions for the interview. Those who have worked with me here will tell you, I don't walk into the studio with prepared questions. I just start the interview. And on television, I don't have prepared questions. I start the interview and it flows. But when I'm preparing, I said, look, this guy, we have to ask him this. Tell him. We'll be asking him this question. Okay. He has to prepare for it.
When we go for
we don't come on interview to ambush people.
Okay.
And surround them and surprise them. Even in court, you are not allowed to surprise. So we don't bring people on the program so that we will surprise them.
But questions can surprise. Questions in court can surprise people.
If it's surprise, the court will underrule it. You don't spring surprises.
Not if you
check the civil procedure rules. You can't spring surprises.
I'm a lawyer, but if
you have lawyers here, ask them. Civil procedure rules. You cannot spring surprises in court.
No, I'm talking about a question, not a document that you are introducing last minute without the judge or the court knowing. Are you saying that
but if
when you're cross-examining someone...
A question will lead to the person being prepared for it, and you don't tell him, and you just spring it on him, and he says, I don't have the documents here. For instance, I interviewed E.T. Mensah recently on the Saglame issue.
Yes.
The interview took another direction because it is a live interview. And then he said to me that I didn't bring it. So I asked him that, can you come on Thursday, so that, because this question has to be answered.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I had known, I thought about it and had told him that I'll ask you this question, he would have brought the documents to the studio. Because we didn't know, the documents didn't come, viewers lost the opportunity to clearly understand what it is. Those viewers who couldn't follow us 2 days later on Thursday, either they traveled or they were busy doing something else, have completely lost the opportunity.
Okay.
That's the reason why you have to sometimes, not all the time, sometimes, tell them some specific questions that you'll be asking them.
The way journalists go to meet the president to ask questions, do you think and believe, based on this analysis you've done, that the journalist should send questions ahead of time to the president so he prepares before he answers?
I don't understand your question.
If journalists go to meet the president like we do, where the director of communication or information minister will call us one by one to ask questions, do you think and believe same that journalists should send their questions aforehand before appearing to ask those questions? Because that would sound like what happens in parliament. Well,
it's a matter of choice for people. But if I were a communications person, I would think that yes, for a president who is dealing with the gamut of issues, if he calls a press conference, yes, people must tell him what they're going to ask him. So he's ready for it.
Before.
Yes, but what do you gain by not telling him? Tell me, what do you gain?
You want to test whether he is on the ground.
What does that mean?
It means that you want to be sure whether the president is aware.
So you're going to ask the president that how many district hospitals have you constructed? You don't tell him. You show up and ask him. That is why the president at the one of his press conference, they asked him something about football, and he said, "Oh, he has not prepared for it."
No.
So you think that it's better for you not to ask him, not to tell him, so he doesn't have the documents with him, and then that way you are testing whether he's on the ground.
I would keep my questions if I believe they are a question of a national character the president should be in the know of. I would keep that question and ask him.
But the ones that the president should be in the know of is obvious. It's fundamental. It's not something that people would dispute about.
So if
you want to get a critical press conference out for people to see real issues, the president must have the documents. Is he going to lie about documents?
No, but if the president has promised that I'll build 88 hospitals, let's say next year there's a press briefing like that, before the president shows up before journalists, he should know that unless these journalists are sleeping, they would ask a question about that. He should be prepared. He shouldn't say...
Yes, but he can't prepare. He's going to meet 17, 20, 30 journalists. He can't prepare for all. You see, I don't believe in that. I believe in journalism that is intellectual. I don't believe in journalism that is ambushing. If the documents don't lie, So we used to sit in this city newsroom. We don't talk to anybody. We take the budget of 2003, take the budget of 2004, and run analysis on it.
Okay.
It's information. You can ask the president that, Mr. President, I'll be asking you that in the 2004 sessional address, you said this. It is in your paragraph 34. Look at it. I'll be asking you that paragraph 34 of your 2011 sessional address actually contradicts your paragraph 30 of 2012. You have told him.
Okay.
So why don't you want to tell him that? Why do you want to ambush him?
You are a journalist, correct? Of course, you are a journalist.
People should make that determination. I don't know.
Okay, I'm asking this question for two reasons. One, you were serving on the National Communications Authority Board. Are you still serving?
Well, all boards have been terminated in January, according to a letter
So you served for the last,
yes.
oh, good, for 4 years. You were you were working there under a board that has a minister in charge.
Somebody sends me a text to tell you that CNN set out to push Trump away. Fox set out the same for the Republican. No. Sending questions of a briefing is actually the standard in America. A journalist says, I should tell you, Sander. It says sending questions ahead of the briefing is the standard in America.
Which journalist is this, please?
I can show you his name. Maybe he doesn't want his name
mentioned. Okay, no problem.
Yeah. But that is it. So this kind of ambush journalism, I've been against it for a very long time.
If you serve on a board,
NCA, yeah.
If you serve on a board, are you serving in the government?
Well, to some extent, you see, the definition of the government, it's interesting in the 1992 Constitution. And there again, if you're a journalist and you want to understand the definition of the government, you go to the 1992 Constitution. You don't guess it. So if you look at the 1992 Constitution, if you look, for instance, at Article 88, it says that the Attorney General shall be the principal legal advisor to the government. You see, there is a difference between the state and the government, but it's kind of blurry. So the state of Ghana is the constant in the equation. The government of Ghana is the variable. But when the government is in place, it occupies the state. So if you ask this question, I'm not sure different political scientists and lawyers will answer it differently. You can also say that the NCA, the National Communication Authority, is a state institution. And therefore, if you serve with the NCA, you are serving with the state as opposed to the political government.
Okay. But you are appointed by a political government.
But that's the point I'm making. That the government occupies the state in the equation.
Good.
The state is the constant. The government is the variable. The government occupies the state in the equation. So the Ghana Armed Forces is the state, but its actors are appointed by the president.
Politicians.
The judicial service is the state, but its actors are appointed by the government. So when Article 88 says that the Attorney General shall be the principal legal advisor to the government, does it mean the government, the political government elected by the people, or does it mean the constant state in the equation? So it's an argument.
So the reason I brought the
NCA
thing is, how do you truly hold the government in check when you are in the government?
Yeah, but we are dealing with whether or not being the NCA is part of the political government or is part of the state. Have you answered that question?
Yours was a political government.
How is it a political government? The National Communication Authority.
Who put you there?
But so the Chief Justice is a political government?
Let's deal with you. Who put you there?
It's the same thing. You can't say deal with me. It's the same thing, Umaru. Let's deal with the law.
No, the Chief Justice is not a journalist.
The Chief Justice is appointed.
I know.
The Chief Justice position ought to be more neutral than any journalist. That's the point I'm making.
I know.
So if you are saying that a person appointed on the board of the National Communication Authority, which is the board of directors of the National Communication Authority, not the full-time management, the board of directors, if you are making suggestions and allusions that that person once appointed into the National Communication Authority by the government, by the president, the elected president, then becomes a member of the government, then I'm suggesting to you that by the same token, the Leonard Chief Justice, appointed by the political authority, the army commander, the IGP, appointed by the political authority to occupy a state position, becomes a part of the government. That's a fallacy.
So look at it this way. You host a TV show. NCA.
Are you satisfied that an appointment by the president to a state institution does not make it political?
Are you satisfied with that? Let's leave my listeners to tell us whether they're satisfied or not.
Okay.
You are a host of a show. NCA is in trouble. The board chairman appears before you. You are a member of his board. How can you really truly ask him questions, the hard questions?
Say that again. You are a state what?
You are a journalist. You're hosting a show. NCA board chair appears. You are under his board, or you are on his board.
He appears on my show.
Yes. Because there's an issue with NCA.
Yeah, but if I'm serving on the NCA board or the National Communication Authority as a state appointee, I cannot discuss NCA matters on my platform.
So it means viewers of Metro TV or viewers of Good Evening Ghana would lose anything that has to do with NCA.
But that's why we have a plural media. Do you understand what a plural media means?
You can go elsewhere and talk, but not on Good Evening Ghana.
But that should be very obvious to you.
Finally, opinion journalism, the editorials you do. These editorials, again, you've already told me that there's a whole production team that decides on what areas you should go on and so on. But are they not your personal opinions that you foist on the show?
There are
and
opinions.
Is that a sustainable journalism?
Editorial is the Graphic has been writing editorials for 115 years. Have you noticed that?
Yes, I do.
Yes, okay.
But
so
the editorials of newspapers is different from what you do.
Why is it different?
The editorial of a newspaper.
Why is that different?
Editorial
simply means this is not the news report.
Yes.
So editorial is to be distinguished from news reporting. When I'm reporting the news of what happened at Jubilee House, I'm reporting the news. If beyond that I want to say what happened at Jubilee House, how I see it, that's my opinion. So if you watch CNN News, they'll take the news from what happened in Trump's White House on the day, and then they'll say our reporter was there. Then when the reporter comes, what he begins to churn out is the reporter's angle, his view of the matter, his editorial. So what do you believe? Say, no, do you believe that the president? No, I don't believe, I believe, that kind of thing. So opinion is saying what I think and asking people to have a look at it and determine whether they want to agree with it or not.
When people insult you on social media, how do you feel?
No, it's a part of the hazards.
General Mosquito call you, forecaster, all manner of people call you.
It's part of the hazards of the job.
You're not worried.
No,
you don't lose sleep
one shouldn't be worried.
You don't lose sleep over
but I mean, there are also positives. That's why I get on the streets and people wave at me. That's why I get into a queue and somebody say, "Oh, this is Paul. Come and be in front of me." So those are the positives. The negatives are that people who don't know you don't know them will insult you. I think that's okay.
We'll do this again, hopefully, another Friday. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Yeah. That's Paul Adomotri, host of Metro TV's Good Evening Ghana. My name is Umar Rusanda. Amado's show came to you from Adabraka in Accra on 97.3 City FM. Production by Devlin London and Fred Tete Jabano. Technical support from Desmond Nyako. We'll be back on Monday at 17:30 GMT, inshallah. Up next is Sports Panorama with Benjamin Nketia and the sports crew. Don't go away.
Sammy Dollar, Sammy Miami, Sammy with the sharp teeth, Pepper Mouse, Sammy Jamfi, Sammy Snowflake, you can dish it out, but can you take your own medicine? Hey Sammy, Ghanaians they ask oh, $1.7 billion. Sammy Atongoda Boka. Yerebisa Sikano Wahen $1.7 billion. Wahen Sami Sikano Wahen $1.7 billion. Wahen Ghanaians are asking again. Sami Atongoda Boka Gold Bar. Explain it to Ghana. $1.7 billion. Yerebisa Sikano Wahen. Sammy Miami, Pepper Mouth, you talk plenty. Sammy with the sharp teeth. Today the people want receipts. Sammy are on in mathematics. Chen IMF, come and calculate for Ghana. Make the figures make sense. You talk the talk, now answer the call. If the numbers don't add up, explain it to us all. 1.7 billion. 1.7 billion. $1 no yeah, baby. Ghana for a visa. Oh, Sammy. for answers on the $1.7 billion. Money for the nurses, money for the teachers, money for our roads, money for the people. Accra to Kumasi Highway, money could help finish the way. Mahamas Azar, 24-hour economy, money could support the economy. So Sammy, answer the question. $1.7 billion, why? $1.7 billion, why? $1.7 billion, why? Can afford a visa. Sammy or truth war, Sammy propaganda. But instead of all the noise, come and clear the matter out.
Mine the kind. Martinamidu, so what says he's an indisciplined person. Potokas of America. Or you'll be a unfriendly human in paying for. Or you'll be a only raso. Nikita an apology letter waha. Emra, the boss, former President John Evans Atamel's power. Now, Oba Bontin, Echo Council to the colleague ministers who are a friend of Manpinian to me in one. Martinamidu is on record to have attempted to physically assault a sitting president. Apology letter. On one case, a patch said, meeting no buy and obey boo Manpinian in Tiano. When Timian control the temper, when Timian control the emotions. A very erratic person.
My husband is an economic waste kid. And also the convoy. You were brand new Land Cruiser Dimua, and also so Sonyama in Yamerson. A Sonyama, Yamerson. Makeup. Or one full Land Cruiser for makeup artist.
Oh, Charles.
Mr. Check. Oh, check.
I mean, me
say check. One full Land Cruiser makeup artist in the team. And in Kenya, I saw two of them. A shame. I should show audition in him. A shame.
On my penny Kufuado, I was bribe $40,000 to keep an NDC Mahama appointee in office. That is it. And like Honorable Fifi Kwete said, so my penny Kufuado say no cry. On my uncle no go na uncle deny. Waje bribe. Then you get that to what Gugan anymore say.
A complete scammer. No integrity, no credibility. He has no basis. A trickster, if you don't like the word scammer, a liar. Let me use the word liar. Liar. He is a pathological liar. Bereft of ideas, bereft of credibility, bereft of integrity. He has no basis whatsoever to question John Mahama's capacity.
If the light.
Sammy Dollar, Sammy Miami, Sammy with the sharp teeth, Pepper Mouse, Sammy Jamfi, Sammy Snowflake, you can dish it out, but can you take your own medicine? Hey Sammy, Ghanaians they ask for $1.7 billion. Sammy Atongoda Boka. Sammy Atongoda Boka. Yerebisa Osikano Wahen. $1.7 billion. Wahen. Sammy Sikano Wahen. $1.7 billion. Wahen. Ghanaians are asking again. Sammy Atongoda Boka. Goldbug. Explain it to Ghana. $1.7 billion. Yerebisa Sikano Wahen. Sammy Miami, pepper mouth, you talk plenty. Sammy with the sharp teeth. Today the people want receipts. Sammy are on in mathematics. Chen IMF, come and calculate for Ghana. Make the figures make sense.
omenyi munsem yewe hiase ladrin wanopa ewiana brenyina sewuri bompa ya kaigana sufre unyankupon fakana shenisa enona uyo mambapa enona odo mauma eno arana yerishe odo mauma enwaneya odo mauma eno arana yerishe odo mauma enwaneya.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of Good Evening Ghana. It's always a pleasure to come to you. Famous and favorite member of parliament for Ofoase Ayeribi, the Honorable Kojo Ponkroma, is in the studio to give us information. It's always lovely to interview Kojo Ponkroma. He has a lot to say. Tonight we'll be talking to him about gold board issues. We'll be talking to him about some of the things that happened in Parliament this morning, and we'll also be talking to him about the constitutional amendment. Does the MPP have a position on some of these matters? We'll discuss that with him tonight. He's coming on very, very soon. Before then, though, we have stuff for you. Mustafa Hamid, and this is all about MPP at the beginning. Mustafa Hamid has returned his forms, and he had a fiery speech, as did most of them. Boache Jacko had a super dance approaching the national headquarters to deliver his forms. John Boadu had a spectacular push of a disabled young man who was in his team, one of his supporters. We'll talk about that as well. And General Paul Afoko also gave up his forms to the party. We'll be looking at all of that. It's a delight, though, to see that the party did not withhold Afoko from contesting and that he is part of the big family. It's a big part of the reconciliation. Then we go to Parliament, where we'll see that the members of Parliament were singing the Good Evening Ghana song, Ma Omayi Munsem Enye Wehiasem. Ma Omayi Munsem, the song that you just heard. They were singing it. And then we show you the little controversy in Parliament this morning. Alex Markin, the leader of the Indefatigable Minority, and his friends walked out of the vetting of 3 distinguished nominees for the position of Supreme Court. I am particularly delighted about the nomination of Mr. Anthony Forson. It's always nice to see successful barristers being nominated by the president to the Supreme Court to add to the jurisprudence of our country. Anthony Forson and the 2 other nominee judges were before Parliament. But of course, technically, minority was unable to participate in it. We'll be talking about that as well. And then finally, we go to reshuffle. President Mahama initiated a reshuffle just recently. And the reshuffle has had Parliament sitting today for nominations of Mahama Ayariga, who is the former majority. Yes, Parliament has approved, but he's not yet taken his position. He is the majority leader on his way to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development and Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. All of that will be Mahama Ayariga's new portfolio. Dr. Zaneto Rawlings also joined the ministerial rank today. She performed creditably at a vetting ceremony where she would now become, now that she's been approved by Parliament, she'll be sworn in by the president to become the next Minister for Environment. We wish her the best of luck. Also, the controversial one is Broja Jemfi from Kumasi has been shifted from the Deputy Defense Ministerial role and is set tongues wagging and is set Asiedu Nketia also thinking about the future of his candidature within the NDC. Broja Jemfi was said to be a top supporter of Johnson Asiedu Nketia, and his role as Minister for Defense was becoming uncomfortable for those who do not wish that Asiedu Nketia should ascend to the leadership of the party. It appears that those in the latter group that I just mentioned are more powerful than Asiedu Nketia can be at this time. And so the shift has occurred. Broja Jemfi has been shifted out of the Ministry of Defense. He has now been sent to the presidency to look after emergency services as a presidential advisor. Some of the NDC apologists on social media have been falling over themselves to give an explanation. Oliver Vomaho, for instance, argued that the new position of Buja Jemfi is better and it's a promotion because presidential staffers are higher than deputy ministers. Rumors arrive, and I'm excited about those rumors because Beatrice Annan is my friend, and she is being nominated to become, she would, most likely if the rumors are correct, will be nominated to become the next deputy minister for defense. It appears that Beatrice will have an excellent relationship with the new minister, Mr. Ken Ajay, very, very good man, who is also now the minister for defense, former minister for works and housing. And so these are the changes that are occurring. Also, Rashid Pelpo, and Rashid Pelpo's change is probably creating a bigger problem than the Buja Jemfi one, because the people of Upper West region, according to a Joy FM news report, have demonstrated and are threatening President Mahama that he has no right to remove the only minister from the region because this minister was resolving their problems. They all claim that they voted massively for the NDC, and as you know, the MPP has no seat in the Upper West region. So we'll be looking at that as well and see where that pendulum is swinging. Then straight from there, we swing into the Gold Board conversations as Kojo Nkrumah will take his seat. The Institute of Economic Affairs, the IEA, have given an opinion about Gold Board, and we're going to share that opinion with you. Also, Abena Osei-Asare, the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, has penciled an opinion about the Gold Board audit report. Abena Osei-Asare's opinion is not talking about necessarily about losses, but she's identified something as a chartered accountant. It's very interesting when you see the article. We'll be sharing this with you, where she points out significant loopholes in the Gold Board audit report. And then we will have Kojo Nkrumah in the studio for our full conversation. So at this time, it's 10 minutes to the top of the hour. Let's get started. Here is Mustafa Hamid as he presented his forms to the national executive of the party. He's running for the first national vice chairman of the MPP. Mustafa Hamid, you remember, was a very young member of the national executive of the MPP many, many years ago. Before Kufuor became president, Mustafa Hamid, or just around the time Kufuor became president, Mustafa Hamid was elected as a national youth organizer of the MPP, one of the early national youth organizers of the MPP 20-something years ago. Mustafa Hamid is wanting to return to the national executive seat. This time, he wants to be there as the first national vice chairman. Here is his presentation of the forms to the MPP headquarters.
If the light.
Everywhere we go, everywhere we go. NPP, Yenina Bekat, Yenina Bekat. NPP there for you. Obian Sawomu, Obian Sawomu, Obian Sawomu. NPP, NPP, opportunity for NPP. Obian Sawomu. Who they for the people? Who go fix the system? Who bring opportunity? Obian Sawomu. MPP, 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 MPP. Opportunity for MPP. Obian Sawomu. Nyajo, NPP lengutomido. We are moving lengutomido. Ablega half farmers no ame. Dawala prechex de sit empinami. Gami, dawumi ample na pomi ade.
Yes, Mustafa Hamid also gave a short speech when he presented his forms. Let's have a look at it.
Kukudu! 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 Medamase. Sana edomia eba. Obroni friend organic. Nta obia. Nta afena obetiete sikama nkrafo se omumba talenti do. But someone sorry. na mo abeyi ade a efe ese fata de ma MPP we make sure say 2028 the besan aba abemu no me assure mo say I can foresee aye bida me my bida my year am a party leader Macron Obroni Beta, I have gone to battles for this party. I have won some, I have lost some. I have the scars. And then is a person who knows the lessons of peace and knows the lessons of victory. I know all those lessons. If you put me in the front line, I shall never retreat. I shall never retreat. I have never.
Earlier this week, Mustafa Hamid had given a lecture attended by high-profile personalities in the NPP. Former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was there. Former Vice President and NPP presidential candidate Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia was there, and it was on the platform of the Dankwa Institute, organized by the Dankwa Institute. It's called the Liberty Lectures. Every year, the Dankwa Institute organizes the Liberty Lectures. The Dankwa Institute is headlined by Gabi Otridako, and they were all in the Alisa Hotel auditorium to hear Mustafa. We picked just 3 minutes of what he said. He was talking about religious tolerance and how Ghana can foster a religious tolerance. It's coming from the background of the last 2024 election, where there were rumors that there was some Christian preaching against Mahamudu Bawumia's candidature simply because he was a Muslim. And many people have commented on that in different ways. Here's Mustafa Hamid's account of that matter when he spoke to the audience at Alisa. Sorry for the false starts. We'll get the video ready and send it to you. So I was saying that Mustafa Hamid was given a lecture at the Alisa Hotel, and he spoke as an Islamic sheikh, and he traced in the similarities of the meaning of God in the Quran and in the Bible and all of that. And he spoke to the audience in a big way. If the video is ready, we'll show it. Just give us some time, and then we'll get the video back to you. Okay. Later on, we'll be talking about the NDC reshuffle work. But we can go to the John Boadu video if that's ready. Well, before then, I believe we have which video do we have? Okay, Mustafa Hamid is ready now. Let's go to Alisa Hotel.
Can engender friendship, cooperation, and mutual respect. At the same time, a strong sense of identity can kill, and kill with abandon. Amartya Sen says in that respect, and I quote, "A sense of identity can be a source, not merely of pride and joy, but also of strength and confidence. And yet identity can also kill, and kill with abandon. A strong and exclusive sense of belonging to one group can in many cases carry with it the perception of distance and divergence from other groups. Within group solidarity can feed between group discord." I repeat that. Within group solidarity can feed between group discord. So when we are referred to as Ghanaians, it carries no sense of divergence. But if we are suddenly reminded that we are Muslims, then it marks us as different from others, in this case, Christians, and vice versa. We may then be reminded that we are a special breed of people who are in the saving grace of God, as opposed to the others who are unbelievers or kuffar, to use the Arabic word. And therefore, we shall not be unequally yoked with them. Professor, you know you're not supposed to be unequally yoked with disbelievers. So, a strong sense of exclusion feeds between group discord. And we may then realize that we don't like the others. Jesus taught his disciples not to share the good news with any other than their fellow Jews. Matthew 10:5-6 says, "Go nowhere near the Gentiles, and do not enter the city of the Samaritans." As he explained to the Syrophoenician woman who came to him seeking for help for her daughter, he said, and I quote, "Let the children, in this case Israel, be fed first, for it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." Unquote. Mark 7:27. The Quran similarly says, "Oh, you who disbelieve," in other words, anybody other than a Muslim, "I worship not that which you worship, nor do you worship that which I worship." Mr. Chairman, I must state also that religion is ambivalent. In other words, you can do with religion whatever you want to do with it. I don't know if my boss, the former president, remembers, but in 2008, I wrote a speech for him in which I was quoting liberally from both the Quran and the Bible to support his arguments. And then when he took the draft speech from me, he came back to me and said, "Mustafa, if you could reduce these biblical and Quranic quotations," because he said, and I quote, "Whatever your position is on any matter, you will find justification for it in the Bible and the Quran," unquote.
That was Mustafa Hamid, the Islamic cleric who is running for the first vice chairman position. He has to confront Nana Akomia, who is presenting his documents tomorrow. I will be at the head office with Nana Akomia, I believe. You know Nana Akomia, don't you? The communications avatar. He's also presenting his documents for the first vice. There's also Henry Nana Boache, another good man, who is also running for first vice. That's going to be tough. But the one who wins will be first vice. The one who comes second will be second. And the one who comes third will be third. I believe Richard Ahiagba, the former communications director, is also running, and he has also submitted his forms. Now, let's go to the chairmanship position, and let's see how, I don't know who the producer is going to start with, but I have videos of John Boedu, I have Boache Jako, and I have Paul Afoko. Are these the only chairman? I think there's Sami Crab as well, but I don't know. I think Sami Crab is presenting tomorrow, so we don't have a Sami Crab video of presenting. So they want me to start with John Boedu. I don't know whether they are biased in favor of John Boedu or not, but I'm hearing that I should start with John Boedu first. So viewers, here's John Boedu's presentation. And then you have Boache Ejako, whose dance was quite impressive. Here's Boache Ejako. For those of us who don't know how to dance, we are very envious of Boache Ejako's dance steps. That was very cool. Here's Paul Afoko as well. So I have on my screen now the 3 potential chairmen, including Sammy Crab also, who is yet to present his nomination. But John Boydu came under some pressure for pushing the guy in the wheelchair. But I got the story. He wasn't just deliberately trying to create a buzz for himself. According to the story, this guy was part of John Boydu's support team, and he showed up there with his wheelchair to show support for John Boydu. And so instead of, people were pulling him away, according to the story, they were pushing him away and all that. And John Boydu said, no, don't push him away. I will push him. He's part of me. He's part of my team. And I mean, that's the story. And there you see John Boydu in your photograph over there. He's pushing the wheelchair guy. People said, oh, he went to find the wheelchair guy and pushed him so that he will get more PR. No. It wasn't like that. The guy already came there on his own volition. He's part of the team. The people thought that he should shift because the candidate is coming. And the candidate said, no, I will push him. And so that's how I ended. That's very charitable of General John Boydu. Boakye Jacko is Prophet Walase. Do you know him, viewers, please? Do you know Prophet Walase? Prophet Walase has prophesied that Boakye Jacko will win the NPP's national chairmanship. We have heard prophecies before that it didn't come to pass, haven't we? But we don't know what will happen. So I don't know whether the supporters of Boakye Jacko are putting a premium on Prophet Walase's prediction. Paul Afoko has won it before. The other day, which was 2014, we're all in Tamale sitting up late in the night up until 2, 3 a.m. I jumped that night when I heard that Kwabena Japan had won the election. He had defeated Obechebi Lamte, who was a personal mentor of mine. I was quite sad, but I was happy that Kwabena was coming into the national executive. That was the same night that Paul Afoko was crowned the winner over Obechebi Lamte and I believe Fred Owari. It's a very closely contested situation. That Tamale Congress was massive, really, really massive. That Tamale Congress did not break the MPP apart. It means that they're a very strong party because in that contest, Kwabena Japan was fighting head-on with Sir John. May he rest in peace until we meet again. Sir John, very, very feisty MPP General Secretary. Sir John was the incumbent. Kwabena was coming against him. It was a feisty battle. We all supported Kwabena Japan and he won. And the same night, Afoko was crowned winner of the chairmanship race. So Afoko has won it before. He's in there again and is hoping that he can win. Who is going to be the best chairman? Who do you want? Anyway, the vote is on October 3rd. The campaign continues and our lenses will be following the campaign. In the last week of the campaign, we're going to be following each of them and then we'll bring you the pictures that we see right from their campaign ground where they will be. So good luck to all NPP aspirants. Now, this morning, this is how the minority NPP started their press conference in Parliament. They sang our song, the song that we have been singing all the time. Listen to them. They had better voices than I do. So I was happy with it. Have a look. Sao Bompire. Can we listen to that song? Let them play it in the studio. Let's see. Whilst I check my touch screen. Or is it going to come? Viewers want to hear it. All right, so let's go back to Parliament and hear Alex Markin arguing with the chairman of the Appointments Committee, the First Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Richard Ahiathor. Here's Alexander Markin making the case why the minority cannot participate in the vetting of the 3 distinguished nominees for the position of Supreme Court judges. Earlier, the minority had participated in the hearing of Zanetta Rawlings, Minister Designate then as she was in the morning for Environment, now though she has been approved by Parliament, and also Mahama Ayariga, who was a Minister Designate for Local Government at the time in the morning, now though has been approved by Parliament. This is Alex Makin.
Majority leader, stay out of this matter. Stay out of this matter. Which ruling? Open to 268. It is not within his right to rule anything here. Please. What is he going to rule? Open to 268. I moved. 268. Yes. A motion. No. A motion was moved, registering our preliminary objection. A motion was moved. We had a meeting with the clerk and him in his office. You were there. We all agreed that the nominee for the Supreme Court should be done in October. Clerk, he was there. We all agreed that let's do the nominees. So what changed? What changed? Why are you always frustrating everybody? Why are you taking the majority too far? And when we talk, we become victims. Why?
Please.
Why?
Please.
He can't rule.
Please. So
we have to argue. It's a motion that we raised and stated our grounds.
Listen to others.
The preliminary objection was grounded on our motion. Don't do it.
You listen.
He did.
You listen.
You were my mate.
You listen.
You were my mate. I was called before you. I was called before you.
Chairman.
You were my steady mate.
Chairman.
And you know my law is unsoiled. So stop what you are doing.
It's very clear. Have you seen the order?
You know my law is unsoiled. You know, Eche. You know. Don't let politics, make you behave this way. I've raised. He cannot rule. He can't rule. Rule on what? It's a motion. He should tell me where he can rule. We have to take a decision and vote.
That person, please.
It's not fair. We have a right of reply. Let us reply. He shouldn't rush. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we doing this to ourselves? It's not fair. Your own position in 2024, Ayariga, you were there. You said 14 days. Why 3 days?
Honorable
Why?
Minority Leader.
And when we react, you start shouting and threatening us.
Honorable.
And you start to threaten us. What's going on in this country? What is going on in this country? Under a reset. What's going on in this country? In today, Ghana, you can't talk. You can't talk. They will threaten you, frustrate you. That's what you are doing. That is what you are doing. Maintain your own principle. Maintain your own principle. You act out of political convenience. Where is your principle? Ayariga is here. He said 14 days on the 30th of July, 2024. What has changed? Honorable Ayariga.
Let me explain what has changed. Okay.
Honorable members, I don't know whether my brother, the minority leader, has listened to himself. You never said you are moving a motion, but you said you are raising a preliminary objection. And all ears have heard you. So when you raise a preliminary objection, your preliminary objection must be ruled upon. That is different from you moving a motion for the House to take decision on the motion. So based on the fact that what I have heard and what everybody, member of the committee, have heard clearly is a preliminary objection being raised on the grounds, which grounds are therefore considered frivolous, vexatious, unmeritorious,
if you got it wrong,
hollow.
I'm straightening it. I'm sitting right here that you can't do.
So I have done my ruling, and that is the ruling, and then we'll proceed to vet. My Lord,
Chairman, please. Chairman, if you
judge nominee.
Chairman, if you construed that to mean, if you construe that to mean an objection, which you are going to rule, I am sitting right before you. You cannot say that the horses are bolted, there's an empty stable. Stop it. This is democracy. Don't do what you are doing. I just got up for a second. They were calling me. You deliberately discharged the NATO. I kept quiet. I knew the traps you were setting. I knew what you were trying to do. Let's not do this ourselves. We are not helping democracy. If you construed our objection and the motion to be nothing like that, please, I'm right here. You can rule. Let us debate it. Let's vote.
So let's debate it.
Yes.
So allow me to debate it.
Sure, I'm happy that you will debate.
Let's
debate. He can't say he's ruling.
Yes.
You don't have the power to rule. Yes. Let's take it, and then you use your majority
let's
to vote against us. We'll be satisfied. So don't do what you're doing.
Minority leader is not a child's play. It's not a small job. I don't envy it at all. Alex Markin making a very strong point to the parliament. Eventually, though, the majority had their way. As they say in democracy, as they say in democracy, the minority can always have their say, but it is the majority who will have their way. So that's an old saying from the British Westminster parliamentary system. I think they want me to talk about this video. This is part of the minority walking out. You see that Alex Markin is with the Honorable Dafia Makpo, who is the chief whip of the majority side. And I guess Dafia Makpo was urging Alex Markin perhaps to remain in the chamber, but Markin was leading a walkout of the minority group from the vetting. The position that he was championing is that under the rules, there's a certain set time for the president's nomination to go to the general public for their comments. Alex Markin was wondering why that time has been abridged in respect of this particular nomination. And he cited what happened in 2024 when such a nomination had come for Supreme Court judges. And they, in the majority at the time, were trying to abridge the time. And it was Mahama Yariga, he mentioned him, who was championing the fact that parliamentary rules cannot be abridged. So this is the story of what happened in Parliament today. In the end, the three nominees for the position of Supreme Court judges was done. The vetting was done, and it's almost certain that those three will be given the parliamentary nod, will be sworn in by the president, and that will mean President John Dramani Mahama, since January 2025, has nominated and appointed 7 Supreme Court judges. The count of Supreme Court judges now is approaching 20 or a bit more, but we see what happens. The concern about this is that the NDC in opposition were very concerned about Akufo-Addo's nomination to the Supreme Court. They, as they call it, packing the court. They felt that Akufo-Addo was packing the court. But in the short time of the NDC being in power, there has been a significant nominations, not just to the Supreme Court, but to the Superior Court of Judicature, the High Court, and the Court of Appeal, have all seen tremendous nominations into these courts, ballooning the number of judges. But we are told that there are so many cases unheard and that we need so many judges. That may be a conversation for another day. Let's now get to reshuffle and deal with it quickly. So the letter came from the president's stable. It was signed by Felix Kwakye Ofosu, and he says, President John Dramani Mahama has made the following changes to his government. Honorable Abdul Rashid Pelpo has been reassigned as Minister of State for Social Initiatives, while Honorable Emmanuel Kwejoe Jekum replaces him as Minister for Labor, Employment and Job Creation. The President, the document said, has also reassigned Deputy Minister for Defense, Honorable Ernest Broja Jemfi, as a presidential staffer on national resilience and emergency preparedness. The reassignment takes, he said, immediate effect. So that then set tongues wagging. This is Rashid Pelpo, and his designation was Minister for Labor, Employment and Job Creation, and his new designation is Minister for Social Initiatives. So the question and the fury about Rashid Pelpo is that the Honorable Rashid Pelpo is a staunch supporter of the ambitions of Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the chairman of the National Democratic Congress. Asiedu Nketia chairs the NDC, and he is hoping to become the flag bearer of the NDC for the 2028. Asiedu showed his way quite early, very early in 2025. The indications were that he wanted to run for president, and so he had occasioned some thank you tours that started after President Mahama's thank you tours had kind of ended. I don't even know whether President Mahama's thank you tours have actually ended, and I don't know whether Asiedu Nketia has suspended his thank you tours, because he was urged by the Council of Elders of the NDC to do so. And I'm guessing that he has obeyed that. So we haven't seen these thank you tours going on for a while, maybe for the last 8 months or so. Most of 2026, we haven't seen that. But Rashid Pelpo has been working behind the scenes, according to the story, together with the former Minister for Local Government, who is now Minister for Works and Housing, to oil Asiedu Nketiah's campaign and make sure that Asiedu is getting the nod, in spite of the Supreme Court decision that came in, which Asiedu Nketiah was manifestly opposed to and spoke against it. They still believe that they can clinch a significant victory for Asiedu Nketiah, even if President John Dramani Mahama is not in favor of that choice. Now, those who support the opposite side, those who don't like Asiedu Nketiah becoming, seem to be very powerful. They have spoken into the ears of the president, and this act is one of those that is widely interpreted as an action against Asiedu Nketiah's candidature, because Rashid Pelpo here is a big supporter of Asiedu Nketiah. Now, since Rashid Pelpo was removed, sleeping dogs are not lying. Over there in Upper West Region, Joy FM news report says that the people are unhappy and they are threatening all kinds of things. Have a look at this news report from Joy FM.
It dropped like a bombshell when is the President John Dramani Mahama reshuffles Dr. Rashid Hassan Pelpo out of labor, jobs, and employment into the presidency for special initiatives. And war is boiling on the streets. It's one word: anger. Traders angry, riders angry, party for soldiers angry. Their reason simple.
And some of us have issued our problems to him. Now that they have reshuffled and removed him, how are we going to manage it? He's supposed to help us through our difficulties, and some of us are well educated, and he promised us certain steps of life. Now that they have reshuffled him, a lot of mistakes are going to be made in the system.
We were expecting some development from him. As he's no more there, meaning we can't get it again. That's why we are not happy.
They say moving him truncates their dreams.
For now, I don't think I'll get a job without our minister. Because if there is not a leader in a state or in the region like this, for instance, I don't think there will be anything in progress for us.
We are not happy about the reshuffle that he has done. So we will pray on God, God willing, President Mahama should give him the position back for the Rashid Pelpo, for us to also have something in the labor and the employment of.
And that new office, special initiatives, they say they don't know it, they don't feel it.
We don't understand what they are trying to do and what they are planning for the system. But to us, we don't understand the minister that they have appointed him with. What we will plead is for him to come back and take the lead as where he left us, because now we are stranded, we don't know what to do.
But this is bigger than Dr. Pelpo. Over 900,000 people, 11 out of 11 seats, clean sweep for the NDC, yet zero cabinet slot.
I know these are the only minister in what?
In the Upper West?
In the Upper West.
Okay. So you want him to bring him back?
Yes.
Which position? That position or another position?
That position.
We just want him back to come and take the track on. He knows the fuel level of his track, and he knows where the GS are all going. He should just come and take the steer back. That is what we are just pleading for us.
And then the political jab. The MPP is rolling when they had just 5 seats in 2016 and 3 seats in 2020. Upper West still got a cabinet minister. Now with 11 seats, only a sector minister and a deputy. The question being asked is blunt. Has the Upper West sold its dog for a monkey, traded a color television for a black and white one? That is the question ringing from Boli to BA, from West Central Market to the presidency itself. Will the president listen to them?
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
To love Rafiq Salam, man. You just have to love Rafiq Salam. He's done a great job in popularizing stories, political, business, economic, social, all from the Upper West region for Joy News. Rafiq Salam, he says, wow. Okay. Rashid Pelpo, sorry, it will be okay. Don't worry. This politics is like that. Everything will be fine. Don't worry. It's cool. All right, let's get to my brother Broja. His case is also quite interesting. So Broja Jemfi is a politician who had done quite a bit of work for the NDC youth, particularly in Ashanti region. He was part of the big stuff. When the regional ministry nominations came, some people thought that Broja would be nominated as regional minister as opposed to Dr. Frank Amoakohene. But eventually Amoakohene got that, and Broja Jemfi got a sensitive position, which is Deputy Minister for Defense. Broja has been there from day one, and then he was working with his boss, who unfortunately passed in the national disaster of August the 6th of 2025. And since then, Broja Jemfi has been holding the fort with Honorable K. Salato Forsen, the finance minister. So Broja seems to be doing well. At least he's carried himself quite well, and many of our Ashanti colleagues are very proud of him. Somehow, yesterday, perhaps he slept on his wrong side, and the announcement came. Now, it's being linked to the Asiedu Nketia ambition, because it is said that Broja Jemfi is one of the pivotal young brains that Asiedu Nketia relies on for political mobilization, particularly in the Ashanti region. It may have been observed that some of the Broja Jemfi's moves in Ashanti were being noticed by the people in Jubilee House, and they thought that he's becoming a bad boy, very, very bad boy. So what do? When somebody is becoming a bad boy, you bring him close so you can look at him every morning. Because he's sitting at Ministry of Defense, then he's gone to Ashanti region to visit Ministry of Defense people, then he's gone to Bonohafo to visit Ministry of Defense people. They were observing that these visits that he's doing and these Ministry of Defense things, underneath is a subtle campaign for Asiedu Nketia. So they don't want Asiedu Nketia to become the flag bearer of the party. They pluck Broja Jemfi from Ministry of Defense in Birmingham and say, come and sit inside Jubilee House. When you make a phone call, we'll hear. When somebody comes to visit you, we'll see. When you move out, we know. Then we will see whether you are actually working for Asiedu Nketia. So for now, you leave the defense. Come, hurry up, come here. Come and sit before the president. Every morning, Valerie Sawyer will see you. Every morning, Joyce Bauer will see you. Every morning, Standobe will see you. Then if you like, come and work for Asiedu Nketia and you see what we will do to you. So that is Broja Jemfi's story. Ofa Johnson, you are creating problem for the young men now. Because of this, your ambition, they are losing their jobs, they are sacking them. Oh, Ofa Johnson, your thing is bringing too much. But can you just step down and say that you are not doing this thing anymore, just to save everybody? You see, now, people who are Broja Jemfi's people and are connected to him, they are all worried. They've taken you from defense. You are defense, you can get something for us. When there's recruitment and we have young men who are well built and strong, you can put them somewhere for us. When there's something, you can help us. If we are sick and we are in Sunyani and we want to go to the military medical reception, we can call you and then you can call the 3BN people and we go there. Now, Asiedu Nketia has done, as we say in Ghana, English, he has done, and then they have removed Broja Jemfi from the Ministry of Defense, you know. Let's get to social media and see how social media reacted to this very quickly. We'll see that in a bit. What does social media say? Okay. Samuel Brian Boabin, he's MPP though. He says, from yes sir, and carrying shooting sticks at the square to the bunker at Jubilee House C Block. And as Broja Jemfi is now the Director General Extraordinaire of NADMO, following President Mohammed's third term fiasco. Politics is indeed a complex business. It is well, Team Sekwa, Paul Kagame. Okay, next one. Is there another one? Ora Chum says that Broja Jemfi, Broja Jemfi, he own pain me. Ora says Broja Jemfi, he own pain me. Okay, that says the reshuffle of Broja Jemfi has pain Ora. That's the point that I was making. Kelvin Abuaji Yeboah says, I think the president has not been fair to Ho? Is that Ho? He has not been fair to Honorable. Oh, okay. Honorable Broja Jemfi is not coming up well. It says, I think the president has not been fair to Honorable Ernest Broja Jemfi. Okay. Clement Opoku Jemfi says that in all of this, Broja Jemfi's reshuffle is concerning. Should we even call it reshuffle or demotion? I'm curious about his new position in government. Presidential advisor on national resilience and emergency preparedness. What really is his work going to be? NDC are binding settings, but Yakokan is saying, okay, all right. Honorable Papa Kwesi Daniel says that this be NADMO's work, or there is going to be a tsunami in Ghana. Broja, Wechiguho. This one. Joe Wise says that this is demotion. I think President Mahama doesn't like him to be at the defense ministry anymore. I think he wants to rise, but he says again, anymore because what prevented him from making Broja Jemfi the acting when the substantive minister kicked the bucket? It was clear. Okay, how far Ghana says, the establishment is showing Asedun Ketia shege. Next time. In other news, Ashanti NDC and so I am mobile. All right, quite a bit. Oduko Kojo Opong says that Asedun Ketia's boys are in serious reshuffle trouble. Sorry, Broja, for the Buga tactics. Abdul Mutalib Kwaye Yantu says, Senior NADMO officer. Owusu Bresta says, Nechi Goho. Adwapa Pushwa Osei says, this is demotion pa. Hey. I think that's about it. So it speaks, the matter speaks for itself. Res issa locita, they say in Latin. And as you can see, Broja Jemfi has been removed. Who is next to be removed? Can I make a prediction? I understand that by the end of next week, there should be another touch of reshuffle. I like the way President Mahama does it just a little bit, one more, a little bit. When I go to Kojo Ponkuma's interview, I'll first ask him that. He has been information minister before. These reshuffles, when they come, how does the information minister feel? Because everyone hears their story. The president calls a meeting and everyone knows that this person is going to... My information minister, go and say it. You are the one who says it. So Felix Kwacho Fosu was the one who came to announce it. So Broja Jemfi will be annoyed with everyone, but he will be annoyed with Felix Kwacho Fosu even more. Unless they are very, very good friends, because he's the one who is telling people that you have been removed. So, Asedun Ketia, Mr. President, Asedun Ketia, President Mahama, good evening, how are you? Your reshuffles are serious, pal. Okay, no problem. Let's have Asedun Ketia and let's appeal to Asedun Ketia to drop the ambition. You should just drop, you see this ambition, you are fighting. Nobody fights government to win. You just fight government to make a point. You don't fight government and hope to win. You fight government and make a point. You can sue government and win. That works. But even sometimes when you win in the court, they can still do stuff. You know, from Marbury and Madison up till now, winning against government in court can be one way or the other. But to fight government and hope that you can win, well, it's a beautiful time for us political watchers and political animals in Ghana. We are going to be watching how this plays out. If Asedun Ketia goes through all this and he is elected as the NDC flag bearer, my goodness, I'm going to salute him. He's a political colossus. Because what he's coming against is not a joke. It's not, I mean, President Mahama, a man who has been president before, lost a heavy election, went to sit at home. Everybody wrote him off. You see, H.S. Sekanko has a new book about how President Mahama came back. Everybody wrote him off. Everybody did. He loses an election in 2020. He comes again, and then he wins an election. He's able to convince a large number of the same people who said he was such a bad product. He's managed in 8 years to convince them anew. Well, some people say that if you really crunch the data, you will see that there were new voters that came on to help the NDC win. That may be true, but whatever it is, he has managed to convince the same set of people who voted against him heavily to now vote for him. That kind of president, you don't joke with when it comes to political choices and his political machinations and his capacity to achieve his political ends. So if Asedun Ketia comes out of all that and is able to win this election, mine, he will be the political colossus. Okay, let's get onto the gold board story now. And which one do they want me to start with? He will signal to me which one I start. I believe that I'm beginning with the IEA, isn't it? So it's a Gold Board Bank of Ghana story. So we have three aspects of it. The IEA story we're going to tell you. Abena Osasari has written a short but very powerful article. We're going to read it, and then we go to Kojo Ponkuma's analysis of from his own perspective. He will tell us about other things, constitutional amendment, and a few other things. But we'll start with the reshuffle story. So let's start with the IEA. What is IEA actually saying? So this is from City 97.3. It says, Ghana's 1.7 billion loss, largely an accounting issue, not gold board loss, says IEA. All right, it says here that the Institute of Economic Affairs has rejected the attribution of a 1.7 billion loss under the Bank of Ghana's domestic gold purchase program to the Ghana Gold Board. The institute said much of the figure represents revenue and foreign exchange valuation differences rather than an actual loss to the institution. Professor Alexander Bilson Daku, the director of research at the IEA, who rejected the claim, said the reported amount comprised service fees, assaying fees, and foreign exchange valuation differences arising from the Gold Board's purchase and export operations. He explained that the service and assaying fees were payments made by the Bank of Ghana to Gold Board for services rendered on behalf of the central bank and therefore constituted revenue to Gold Board. Quote, he says, "I don't understand why somebody would call revenue a loss," unquote. Professor Daku said the IAA's assessment of the 2026 mid-year budget review on Wednesday on the theme From Stabilization to Transformation, an assessment of Ghana's 2026 mid-year budget review, unquote. Professor Daku noted that the largest component of the reported 1.7 billion figure, accounting for about 90%, was primarily an exchange rate valuation issue. He explained that Gold Board purchased gold on behalf of the BOG, with the proceeds subsequently converted from US dollars into cedis, using the central bank's applicable reference exchange rate. The differences between the exchange rates used at the point of purchase and the rates used to value the proceeds could consequently appear as a loss in the BOG's books, although that did not necessarily represent a depletion of national wealth. It is merely a book accounting issue and not a significant loss to the nation, he said. The IEA Director of Research said the transaction involving the two public institutions should also be viewed from a broader government perspective, since a cost recorded by one institution could simultaneously constitute revenue for another. To the government, its monetary authority, which is the central bank, has made that loss. To the government, its Gold Board has made that gain. So the professor is saying that the loss is a Bank of Ghana loss. It's not a Gold Board loss. He goes on. He said, adding that the amounts could effectively wash out at the broader government level. Nevertheless, Professor Daku said Gold Board's financial operations required scrutiny, particularly as the institution transitioned from relying on BOG financing to sourcing funds from private sector for its gold purchase activities. He said the new financing model, if properly managed, could deepen Ghana's capital market, but required transparency, sound financial management, and strong oversight. He acknowledged that Gold Board's contribution to the economy, particularly through the increased gold exports, foreign exchange inflows, and reserve accumulation, which he said had supported cedi appreciation and stability. Professor Daku added that the resulting exchange rate stability could help reduce import cost, inflation, and interest rates while improving Ghana's debt to GDP position and capacity to manage foreign denomination debt. However, he cautioned against excessive reliance on gold for exchange rate stability and reserve accumulation, urging the government to pursue broader export promotion, import substitution, foreign exchange market regulation, and increased local ownership. He commended the government for achieving significant macroeconomic stability, adding that it must now convert those gains into sustainable growth, employment, and economic transformation. The IEA says the government has done well to achieve some reasonable macroeconomic stability, and most of the macro indicators have moved in the right direction within a relatively short period of time, says Professor Daku. He has a video, it's about a minute's video of some of these things that Professor Daku told the press from the IEA Research Center. Have a look.
The first two sources of the loss were money that the central bank paid to Gold Board on behalf of buying and exporting the gold on its behalf. So they actually constitute revenue to the Gold Board. And I don't understand why somebody will call revenue as a loss. So from the Gold Board perspective, those two components of the loss are revenues. Okay? It is a cost to the central bank. Who paid it? To them. They are revenues. The third one, the most significant, the one that constitutes almost 90% of this loss, the 1.7 billion, was simply due to valuation technique. What does that mean? If Gold Board purchases the gold on behalf of Central Bank at, say, 12 cedis to the dollar from the miners, and it is exported and the revenue comes, if the central bank, by law, all central banks have currency reference rates that are always lower than the Forex Bureau rates. By law, it's central bank. So when this money comes in, the central bank needs to convert that into cedis in its books. And if it converts the dollars using lower rates, they could use higher rates, that will reflect as a loss. So it is merely book accounting issue, but not a significant loss to the nation. So if the central bank use 10 to value it, then there's a margin of 2 per ounce. There's a margin of 2 per ounce. And multiplied by the total ounces in the economy, that would blow out to be a significant loss. So and we need to also be extremely careful, especially in accounting and economics. You need to be very careful. The first 2 components of the loss that we talk, actually, if you look deep into it, it is one government agency paying another government agency same amount. So to the government, its monetary authority, which is the central bank, has made that loss. To the government, its Gold Board has made that gain. Plus and minus, there's no cost. It is left hand given to the right hand.
All right, let's go to text messages and see what we have so far. Let me start with Fatih then.
All right. Thank you, Paul. So I have a lot of messages here from our viewers. Yeah. Coming from Gary Abdullahi says, the NDC government is packing the courts with the NDC judges as President Mahama promised his people in opposition. We are assuring Ghanaians that the NPP administration shall unpack the NDC judges in the various courts in Ghana as President Mahama sacked the Chief Justice Tokono. Lastly, coming from General E.L. Command says, the President is not reshuffling for performance. He's simply rearranging the chairs. Ghanaians are looking for results of the jobs and the 24-hour economy he promised. What do you offer, Sekia?
Thank you very much, Fatih. This is coming from Nana Owusu. He says, Paul, I'm glad you managed to bring Honorable Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah on tonight. I salute one of your firebrand MPs. I know he will continue to get to the bottom of the 1.7 billion Gold Board losses by probing the entire value chain. We need to find out who the so-called sole-sourced assayers and aggregators are. Most importantly, we need to know who the so-called uptakers and who have been benefiting from the discounts despite prevailing world market prices. Lastly, Saturday, Sami told the whole nation that the economic management team sets the spot prices for the Galamsey gold. So who sets the discounts for the uptakers? And lastly, coming from General E.O. Coleman, he says, I believe the Gold Board debate must go beyond political colors. Ghanaians deserve a clear explanation of the numbers and, more importantly, who ultimately bears the cost. Over to you, Ella.
Thank you, Ekia. So Aziz Boating says, you trade gold and run at a loss. You talk basa, then what business can you do to get a profit? This guy talked too much. Now you see your level. If he has any shame, I think he should resign from that office. General Command also says, good evening, Apostle and your team. Honorable Asiedun Kezia will go through despite the opposition from the government establishment. I remain confident that the process will ultimately work in his favor. Back to you, Paul.
Sammy Dollar, Sammy Miami, Sammy with the sharp teeth, Pepper Mouse, Sammy Jamfi, Sammy snowflake, you can dish it out. But can you take your own medicine? Hey, Sammy, Ghanaians, they ask, oh, $1.7 billion. Sammy atongoda boka. Sammy atongoda boka. Yerebisa o sikano wahen. $1.7 billion. Wahen. Sammy sikano wahen. $1.7 billion. Wahen. Ghanaians are asking again. Sammy atongoda boka. Gold bar. Explain it to Ghana. $1.7 billion. Yerebisa sikano wahen. Sammy Miami, pepper mouth, you talk plenty. Sammy with the sharp, sharp teeth. Today the people want receipts. Sammy are on in mathematics. Gen IMF, come and calculate for Ghana. Make the figures make sense. You talk the talk, now answer the call. If the numbers don't add up, explain it to us all. 1.7 billion. 1.7 billion. Dollar no yeah, baby. Ghana for a visa. Ghanaians are asking for answers on the $1.7 billion. Money for the nurses, money for the teachers, money for our roads, money for the people. Accra to Kumasi Highway, money could help finish the way. Mahamas Azar, 24-hour economy, money could support the economy. So Sammy, answer the question. $1.7 billion, wahen. $1.7 billion, wahen. $1.7 billion, wahen.
Welcome back to the show, and thank you very much for staying with us. I have here Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, who has graciously stayed with us. He has he's had a long day. Minister, did I say minister? Okay, incoming minister. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Paul.
Cabinet reshuffle. People want me to ask you that. Does it get difficult for an information minister?
Not really. I mean, for an information minister, you are the mouthpiece of the government, depending on how the information ministry is structured. If you have that added job of being a spokesperson as well, you are the mouthpiece of the government. So you disseminate good news and bad news, and you make friends and enemies for the type of information you put out. So in times like this, when people are not happy with the information you put out, of course you make enemies for it.
Is it a bad job to take in government?
It's a difficult job. I wouldn't say it's bad. I remember when a decision was made to go to the IMF that night at Cabinet, and the President Akufo-Addo was seated and he says, Oppong Nkrumah, drafts the statement for me. Then I finish and I bring the iPad and Vice President looks at it, he looks at it, and he says, go and issue it.
And everyone else is in the Cabinet?
Yeah.
Only you should go and issue it?
Yeah. And I'm not able to issue it.
So what happens? What happened?
Well, I send it to my office, they put it on a letterhead, they bring it back, I sign, we do the electronic version. I go home, I get home around 1 a.m. I'm seated at the side of the bed, my wife is just waking up from bed because, it's a long cabinet meeting, so she's just waking up. And I'm seated and she's like, what's the problem? And I'm like, this is what has happened. And she's like, OMG.
After we had said we are not going to IMF.
Yes, and then that Thursday night, the decision is made. I still wait till the Friday morning, where I call a meeting of the Finance Committee members, because I'm of the view that they need to know before we put it out. And we try to get an understanding, and I try to explain to them. And then by 11 o'clock thereabout, I have no choice because it's delaying.
And the president is not calling you and saying, where's the statement?
Well, he hasn't called me at that time yet, but by 11 o'clock, I have to let it go. Because he will get the media reports at some point. And you let it go and everybody will come at you. But in fact, at the point when I enter the Chamber of Parliament, then I say, hi, Minister for IMF, Minister for IMF.
Wow.
But yeah, it's part of the job.
Okay, let's begin with I'm just seeing photographs of you and Dr. Bawumia this morning meeting some people. What was it about?
Dr. Bawumia has started his engagement with various identifiable groups as part of the policy architecture that he's trying to put in place for 2029. So last week he met the Institute of Engineering to look at the general state of infrastructure and to get their input into his infrastructure plan for 2029 onwards. Today he met the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners to talk about reforms in the mining era. You know, we have 21 policy committees working under the Policy Coordination Committee. And he started working with the committees to engage various groups as we tidy up our ideas for governance. His view is that he doesn't need to come into office and then start forming committees to try and solve problems. He needs to detail out the problems, have clear solutions, cost them, sometimes do the necessary modeling, so that when he's making promises, he's dead clear in his mind that this can be done at this cost by this time. And that would ensure that when he's in power eventually, with all the lessons he's learned, successes and failures, and all the work that has been done, he can move faster and get results for the people of Ghana. So this morning we were with the Association of Small-Scale Miners, working on what he calls the reform of the mining sector. And I believe that the people of Ghana will be very pleased with it eventually when he puts it out.
So he's thinking about how to solve the Galamsey problem.
Yes, and how to also improve beneficial ownership in mining for the Ghanaian people, how to ensure that the value of mining impacts the Ghanaian economy a lot more. So it's not just about solving the Galamsey problem. It's moving from that negative all the way to the potential positives. One of the things that today he was looking at with the colleagues was the difference between Johannesburg and Obuasi.
And we've always talked about that.
And they were able to identify what the difference is and what to do to ensure that the places where Ghana is blessed with resources don't look more like Akwetia or Obuasi, but they look more like Johannesburg. And eventually, I know that when he rolls it out to the people of Ghana, Ghanaians will be very pleased. Like I was saying a few days ago, just one idea that he put out, the domestic gold purchase program, is the thing that is saving this government and is delivering so much result to the Ghanaian economy, albeit that the way they have tweaked it, they are making huge losses at the back end. But if just that one program can deliver so much impact, imagine when he has the opportunity to roll out the various programs that he's been working on. I think that there's a good day ahead of Ghana coming with the Bawumia presidency.
Absolutely. So that's just one. That's one video gone. Let's now take the. Let me also ask you. Constitutional amendment. It's come to Parliament. What is the NPP's position on some of these?
It's not exactly come to Parliament. So the Constitution Review Committee says that when they finished their work and they came up with their report, the government said they don't need to engage Parliament, and that day the government will engage Parliament. The government didn't do that. And then they started passing laws essentially to undermine some of the recommendations that had been made, like the Tribunals Act. The CRC had said, move away from these tribunals. They decided that...
The CRC considered it.
Yes, that move away from these tribunals. In fact, even take it from the headline notes in the Constitution so that you don't have to come and pass a Tribunals Act. They haven't brought the report to Parliament. Then they rushed to bring a Tribunals Bill, which is now an act which the President has signed. The government has now come up with its white paper on the CRC report.
They say it's a position paper.
Well, what the MPP has done, and I'm sure those are the photos that you are showing, is that in the past few days, the MPP's Policy Committee on Constitutional and Legal Affairs has been meeting, going through clause by clause each of these, recommendations and positions, and coming up with what our views are. I think NEC will have a view of it and will give its blessing, and then we will inform the nation what our view is on each of these ones, and then also inform the nation the position we intend to take depending on the path the government wants to go.
I see. So, off your head, can you tell us some of it, some of the big ones and the small ones?
No, I mean, I can't do that. NEC is yet to see it and, come to a final position. So I can't put it
so
out.
The
but
MPP
what
will
I
have
can
the
tell
positions.
you, of course, the MPP will have, just like how the NDC has gone into cabinet and has come out with a position, the MPP will go to NEC and come out with a position, and that position will also communicate to the people of Ghana.
So what's the procedure? Is Parliament, some of it, aside that Parliament can take the decision by voting.
That is so.
Some of it have to go to referendum.
Yes.
So which are the big ones going to the referendum?
The entrenched provisions will most likely go for the referendum. The question is the government planning to box all the proposed amendments under the entrenched provisions into one question, yes or no, and expect the people of Ghana to vote yes or no for that?
That's what the president suggested.
Or do they intend to disaggregate so that people can make a choice what they want to say yes to or no to? It's at large. We'll see where the government wants to go.
That will make counting difficult.
Well, it's at large. We'll see where the government wants to go, and then we'll also let our view be known.
But the president has already said that the 2027 district assembly elections will have the referendum questions in there.
Except that he didn't tell us whether it will be one question or multiple questions. So that's what we look to see.
I see. Okay. Interesting. And the rule says that how many people must participate in the voting of the electoral roll? Some 70% must turn up.
There's a threshold that they must cross for turnout, and then you need another threshold for, yes or no. I'm sure that when we get to that one, we'll do a lot more education on that. But for us right now, the most important thing is that we want to understand how they want to go about it. And how they want to go about it is what determines the position that we'll take.
Okay, so that's another video. Now let's come to the economics and finance, which is your big area. Gold board. I heard you speak eloquently in Akan, one of the radio stations, explaining it. How do you look at it? The gold board losses, are there real losses?
It's a very simple, I mean, I heard what the gentleman or the good professor at IEA was trying to do, but I don't know why he's trying to jump the gun. From December last year through to now, the minority has had one position, that we see clearly that the IMF is pointing to losses, not cost, not economic cost, not all those jargons they've been trying to use. The IMF is a very brilliant institution. The IMF is pointing to losses. And we are saying that this republic has a responsibility to convene a platform that investigates what the IMF is saying. So from December last year to the first quarter of this year, we brought motions to Parliament asking, in fact, at the time when the IMF said it was $214 million. And we signaled that we even thought that it was higher than 214. But the Parliament needed to do an inquiry. When I brought the motion supported by my colleagues on behalf of the minority, the majority voted no, shut it down.
The motion for what?
The motion to investigate the $214 million loss that the IMF was signaling.
For Parliament to investigate?
Yes, they shut it down. Patrick Boama brought another motion on a consequential item, which was that we've just found out after the initial one that they are going to sell about 50% of the gold reserves.
Yeah, I heard that.
Again, they shut it down. They won't even investigate. They don't want to know the truth. Then they come out with these narratives. That is economic cost, is this, is that. Now I hear somebody saying that it's not a cash loss, it's an account. All of that doesn't matter. Call the inquiry. Where I agree with him is where he says that you need the broader government level view of things. Absolutely. So you need to bring the Bank of Ghana, you need to bring the Gold Board, you need to bring the aggregators, you need to bring the experts, and then do a whole value chain audit. Because if you leave it to the Gold Board accounts, they will tell you that, oh, Auditor General says we've made profit, so we are fine. If you leave it to Bank of Ghana, and what's interesting, the 2025 Bank of Ghana accounts, under the signature of this governor, claims that they made a loss of $900 million on the gold transactions.
The GDPP?
Yes. Yeah. But the IMF says it's not true. And that is $1.7 billion. So if you leave it to the Gold Board, they'll tell you one story. If you leave it to the Bank of Ghana, they'll tell you one story. If you leave it to the aggregators, they will tell you another story. Bring all of them together, have that full value chain inquiry. Give yourself an opportunity, the benefit of the doubt, to hear from everybody and to checkmate everybody's answer with somebody else. By the time you are done, you have clarity on where even this loss is situated. I, for example, have argued over and over again that this loss, as explained by the IMF, is sitting on the Bank of Ghana's books. There are others who have said that, of course, it's sitting there, but that loss is because of decisions that were made by the Gold Board. And so the Gold Board cannot extricate itself from it. So they even hold the Gold Board accountable. No problem. Call the inquiry. Let everybody appear. Subpoena the documents. Let the experts come to the table. Let Parliament do the responsible thing of giving itself the opportunity to investigate the whole thing. By the time you are done, you will find, first of all, where the losses came from, remediation plans, if any, how to sustainably reduce it, and then this brilliant idea that Mahmoud Bawumia came up with, which was designed to help us grow our reserves initially, help us to get oil when we didn't have Forex, help us to generate Forex artificially to augment what the natural market is not able to do. We'll be able to use it to defend the currency without incurring such huge losses. Why does anybody feel that this is not necessary? We don't need to do an inquiry. So that some professor will come and sit there and tell us that, oh, this is an accounting loss. The concept of profit, loss, deficit, and surplus, they are accounting concepts. So if you come and say that it's an accounting loss, with great respect, you have nothing
I think it's a
useful to
political push and pull, because the NDC doesn't want it to sound like there is corruption and they have stolen 1.7 billion, which is where they are worried that if this becomes a parliamentary inquiry, that is where the MPP
But
is
if you are
going.
dead sure that you haven't stolen 1.7 billion, what are you scared of an inquiry?
Well, they are scared of potential propaganda.
The people of Ghana, and you see, if they go that way, then they undermine the intelligence of the Ghanaian people. If nobody's done anything untoward, and you open up an inquiry, live TV cameras, everybody is there, the people of Ghana are not stupid. They won't go home thinking that that has happened if it hasn't happened. They will watch, they will hear the questions, they will hear the answers. And they are the discerning people who will make the decision at the end of the day. If you're of the view that opening up an inquiry will confuse the people, then you're even undermining the intelligence of the people. Open it up. I remember I was in cabinet when, a matter came up that there were allegations against Alan Chamanting that he had organized or participated in what they called cash for seats.
Yes, yes.
As ridiculous as that was, the president asked him, Alan, what's happening? Alan said, please, Mr. President, ignore this thing. There's nothing in there. He says, okay, they want an inquiry to look in it. He says, I'm happy to appear before an inquiry to answer questions. Nothing untoward here.
He did.
He did. An inquiry, the speaker didn't block it. The majority didn't block it. An inquiry was opened. And at the end of the day, there was nothing there.
The motion came from the minority at the
Yes,
time.
there was
They
nothing
wanted
there.
the cash for
I think
seats
it was a
investigated.
Blackwell or somebody.
It was
Yes.
a Blackwell. It was a Blackwell.
There was nothing there. So what are you scared of? But let me tell you what is. Let me break it down simply. Ghana's budget for 2025 was about 293 billion cedis. That's what the finance minister came to Parliament, spent about 2 hours to read. Parliament sat for about a month and some weeks to go through line by line and then pass an appropriation act for the 293 billion for the whole government, from the president down to the watchman at Metro TV. 33 million people, national security, roads, contractors, free SHS, school feeding program, NHIA, everything put together was about 293. Nobody knew that when you went to bed at night, the central bank printed 133 billion cedis off the fiscals and gave it to one entity.
What is of the fiscals?
So the fiscals or the fiscal program is the revenue, financing and expenditure program of government. That's the budget. That's fiscal policy. That's the one run by the finance minister.
So that is to say we need 10 cedis for Ghana.
Yes.
So Parliament approved for us to get 10 cedis.
Yes. So Parliament will
approves.
approve how you raise the money, how you spend the money.
Okay.
That's the whole
they,
thing
they
about
tell
the
Parliament
budget.
that we are raising this 10 cedis from taxes from AMA, taxes from Ghana airports, taxes from the port, etc., etc.
Yes.
And we need 10 million.
Put it all together.
We need 10 cedis, okay.
And then Parliament will approve for you. Because if you look at the Constitution, you can't raise or spend money other than Parliament permits you to.
Okay.
So that's the essence of what we did. When we left and we went home, the central bank then printed 133 billion Ghana cedis for one entity, the gold board.
So you mean this 133 billion is outside
It was off book, off the fiscal.
So it's not part of what Parliament approved?
No, that's why the IMF describes it as quasi-fiscal. It's expenditure that should have come into the fiscal. That didn't come. That was done off book. That's what Abna.
But printing 100 billion is a lot of money.
133 billion.
Why
people
didn't we see that in inflation?
Well, because they were doing a lot of sterilization at the back.
That means?
So when you have what you call excess liquidity, it can push up prices. If you are doing anything that is injecting liquidity into the system, quickly what you do is that you come back and then you sterilize.
Sterilize means what? Take money from people.
You take money from the financial system. So there's no liquidity.
So people don't have money.
So there's no liquidity to be passed on for credit creation, etc. For people to have access to liquidity to prosecute demand. So you suppress demand by sterilizing. So
and that way you're going to keep inflation down.
Of course you will. In fact, all that they have done to keep inflation down. But people are going to be hungry. Of course. But that's why the market women are telling you that, yeah, you say prices have come down, inflation have come down, but when we open our shops, nobody's buying. It's because of the excessive sterilization they are doing. 93 billion Ghana cedis worth of sterilization in the year 2025. Unprecedented.
As in 93 billion was taken out?
Was taken out. It's in the Bank of Ghana 2025, the central bank. They took it and then they paid interest to the banks. So the banks were not lending to, commercial.
Ordinary people.
Yeah. They will tell you that interest rates have come down, but the banks are not lending.
But
because
why
the
are they
bank
paying interest to the banks?
Because when you take money from the banks, you will pay them interest for it.
Oh, okay.
The banks ordinarily would have given money for credit because the banks
to gain that interest as profit.
Yeah, the banks take liability from depositors and then they create assets. One of those major assets are the loans that they provide to customers. Now, when the central bank comes in and creates a higher incentive to the bank
for the bank to give their money to the
don't give
central
the
bank.
money to the public, because if you give it to them, they will demand, prices will go up. Give it to me, central bank. I'll pay you 15.6 billion cedis interest on it. The commercial banks will give the money to the central bank. The central bank will lose 15.6 billion on sterilization. But you'll get inflation sitting somewhere around 3.5, except that then there's no money in town for people to prosecute demand. That's what's happening now. But I'm just saying.
I get it. So the banks get their profits anyway.
Absolutely. That's what happened. In fact, for
So the banks are good.
2025, if you look at it, the banks were very profitable and it was much too much. The money the central bank paid is what accounted for the profits of the banks. It was much too much.
And government wants to do that for people to be hungry?
They cannot do that consistently. And this is why in 2025, we kept making the point that they are publishing glossy figures based on rented stability. And the problem with that is that there's deferred pain at the end. So by the time the central bank was done doing the sterilization, losing about 15 billion cedis on operating income and another about 19 billion cedis on non-operating income, total of 34 billion Ghana cedis loss, they had now left you a 93 billion Ghana cedi black hole at the central bank that you, Paul Adomochre, you have to go and pay for alongside every citizen of Ghana. That's a deferred pain.
How do we pay? Taxes?
Of course, you will pay in the end.
Oh, so that's why there's been taxes on beer, taxes on everything. Even income tax I hear is going up.
They haven't even reached that point. They will still have to.
President Mahama has signed something.
I know, but the recapitalization of the central bank, they haven't started it.
Oh yeah, they talked about selling and all that.
Because they didn't want to face the truth that it's a fiscal cost that the finance minister has to pay for. And if the finance minister is paying for it, it means the people are going to have to pay taxes for a finance minister to pay the central bank to plug that black hole of 93. He wanted to avoid it by saying that they should sell their head office building and use it to pay. And the governor told him that, please, stop this game. I'm not going to be able to do that. But let me come back to my main point.
Yes.
So what happened essentially was that after 293 billion in the budget that everybody was watching, they turned around and printed 133 billion for one entity.
Gold board.
Gold board. To use in purchasing gold, selling that gold for forex, and selling that forex back to the central bank for the central bank to be able to use, or to the commercial banks and the central bank, to use for what they call financial market intermediation. And that's what we simply call pumping the dollars into the system. Because the natural flow of demand and supply for dollars is inadequate. The currency will be depreciating. So Bawumia's domestic gold purchase program, they've just now redirected it that when the gold is bought, instead of using it to improve our reserves at the central bank, sell it, get forex, pump it onto the market. The only problem is that by the time they were done and had to account for the 133 billion, it was short by 22 billion. That is the essence of what has happened. It was short by 22 billion. Now, when you ask, or when you say it, the gold board feels threatened that you are saying they have made losses. So they say, please look at my books. I've made profit. But of course you will make profit because part of that 22 billion, you took it as revenue into gold board. That's what the good professor was trying, laboring so hard to explain. So you will say you've made profit. So you say you've made profit of about 5.4 billion. And the guy who gave you the 133, the one who printed the 133 billion for you, he says now the asset that he used and gave to you and was hoping to get asset back, he's short by 22 billion. That's the challenge that we have. So we have been saying all along. And from December, January 2025, we said, call an inquiry. Let's go through the process. You will find where the losses are. Stop this. Somebody tries to say it's an economic loss. Somebody says it's a cost. All sort of jargons. Call the inquiry. Let us get to the bottom.
Can't the Auditor General be asked by Parliament to do that work?
No. The Auditor General will look at Gold Board's books and ask himself, were these books constructed in accordance with the standard accounting principles? The Bank of Ghana will give its account to, I think, KPMG or so. That will look at it and ask whether or not they are using the IFRS or some other accounting standard. In this case, they told us that they did not use IFRS. They used the bank's own act, their own rules in auditing their accounts. But in any serious democracy, Congress or the House of Representatives or Parliament will call an end. When there was a sand-winning crisis, Parliament was moved, sand winning. Parliament was moved to conduct an inquiry to understand why sand winning was going on and what can be done to address it. Lesser matters have attracted the attention of Parliament. But because today we are suffering from the tyranny of the majority, they don't want to have any part of it. They don't want to even look into it. They don't want it inquired into. They don't want anybody to sit down and examine. This is the single most colossal loss that the Republic of Ghana has suffered since independence on any economic transaction in a single year.
Any single economic transaction?
Yeah, it hasn't happened before. 22 billion Ghana cedis. And you know what 22 billion Ghana cedis can do?
Tell me.
Agenda 101 can be finished.
Finished?
Yes.
Completed?
It can be finished. A lot of their own promises, they can fulfill with 22 billion Ghana cedis. This 22 billion Ghana cedis has been lost. And people want to be, playing hanky-panky and explaining it, it's an economic cost, it's a commercial loss, Why don't you want to call the inquiry? Call the inquiry. Let's get into it. I'm happy that Mr. Speaker says that there should be an end to litigation at some point, and that he is of the view that Parliament should not block it, and that the Speaker should not be the one to block it. And so he's minded to open that inquiry. I think it will be good so that the Republic can get to the bottom of it. And this brilliant program that Mahmoud Bawumia brought, which I insist has been a bulwark, and he prophesied it in 2024. It can continue to serve us and protect the currency, but it will not lead to the losses that it has incurred so far. So that's where we are now.
Wow. The other question is, they're asking, why does the NPP in Parliament want this inquiry public, television and all that? What was it?
Why not? Today, ministers are being vetted on television.
Yeah, vetting is always on television.
We are running an open Parliament. In fact, today, if you look at the standing orders of Parliament, it says that all meetings of Parliament are public meetings, except when Parliament, for some reason, comes to a view that it will not make that meeting public. In other words, there's no basis for which any of these meetings, whether it's the plenary or any committee meeting, should not be open to the public. That is why on the day that I summoned the governor to come and answer questions about how much forex intermediation they had done, and he came, but he came with written answers which he had submitted because of the particular standing order I had used required him to submit answers ahead. They were apprehensive in allowing the press to be
they removed
in.
the media.
Yeah, and we were like, why are you removing the media? The standing orders say that this is a public meeting, unless we otherwise. We haven't decided. And they were like,
but who removed the media?
It was
is it a majority?
Robson
Is it the clerk?
Eche Dafia-Mekpo who removed the media.
Oh, the chief whip
and
can do
he
that.
admitted to it in the meeting that he removed the media without anybody's authority.
But chief whip can do that.
No, that's the tyranny that we are going through, the tyranny of the majority.
But is the media not working to the clerk of Parliament?
Total abuse of power.
Is the media not working to the clerk of Parliament?
The clerk of Parliament is helpless.
Why should he be?
Because they have the numbers, they are empowered, they dictate whatever they want to do. Total disregard.
But is the clerk that can tell media that go out?
Well, he was succumbing to what Eche Dafia-Mekpo has said. In fact, when Dafia-Mekpo said that he asked the media to go out, Afenyo Markin asked the clerk that, Mr. Clerk, you are the one who is supposed to give these instructions. On what authority does he ask the media to go out? The clerk couldn't say anything. Right now, it's just a total tyranny. I mean, today I'm sure you heard Afenyo, very frustrated, talking about the fact that what is going on? You have a notice period. You don't want to use a notice period. And, they have the numbers. And so all this in favor say aye. That's what they are doing now.
Hopefully, tyranny of the majority will not
sadly
affect the democracy of Ghana. Okay, we'll be back. We'll be right back.
Sammy Dollar, Sammy Miami, Sammy with the sharp teeth, Pepper Mouse, Sammy Jamfi, Sammy Snowflake, you can dish it out, but can you take your own medicine? Hey Sammy, Ghanaians they ask oh, $1.7 billion. Sammy Atongoda Boka. Sammy Atongoda Boka. Yerebisa Osikano Wahen. $1.7 billion. Wahen. Sammy Sikano Wahen. $1.7 billion. Wahen. Ghanaians are asking again. Sammy Atongoda Boka. old boy, explain it to Ghana. $1.7 billion. Yeah, they be sa. Sammy Dollar, Sammy Miami, pepper mouth, you talk plenty. Sammy with the sharp, sharp teeth. Today the people want receipts. Sammy are on in mathematics. Chen IMF, come and calculate for Ghana. Make the figures make sense. You talk the talk, now answer the call. If the numbers don't add up, explain it to us all. 1.7 billion. 1.7 billion. Dollar no ya baby, oh, Ghana for a visa, oh, Sammy. Ghanaians are asking for answers on the 1.7 billion dollars. Money for the nurses, money for the teachers, money for our roads, money for the people. Accra to Kumasi Highway, money could help finish the way. Mahamas Azar, 24-hour economy, money could support the economy. So Sammy, answer the question. $1.7 billion, why? $1.7 billion, why? $1.7 billion, why? Ghana for a visa. Sammy or truth war, Sammy propaganda. But instead of all the noise, come and clear the matter.
What's your last comment on this show then?
I mean, I think that this government has literally abandoned all the promises they made to the people of Ghana. And they are just banking their hopes on Baumia's domestic gold purchase program. And even that one, they are messing it up. And it is gradually beginning to show a bit more. In the last budget review, we told you about the fact that if you look at the fiscals, they have played politics with this hand and messed it up. As a result, the revenues that Atuforsen promised us to move us to 18% of GDP from about 16% of GDP. He's not gone anywhere. He's still sitting around 16% of GDP, exactly what he had inherited. After all the gymnastics, no, the revenue.
Oh, revenue.
After
Getting
all,
revenue in.
After all the gymnastics that he did, that he has removed some taxes, he won't bring taxes. He brought 8 new taxes and then plus 1 in this last budget. And after all of that, we are still sitting at 16% of GDP. We haven't reached that 18% that he promised. And what it means, therefore, is that the expenditures that they promised to execute, they can't execute it to fulfill their programs. So they are suppressing expenditure. They are not spending on their own priority program. And if
they are spending on big push.
Please check the total expenditure table. 30 billion cedis worth of expenditure suppression so that they can achieve a primary balance of that 1.5%. That's what they are doing. And so they are not able to execute their own. Look at their Ejumawa program. What is it? 1 million coders. People are even looking for them to give them jobs. You can't find them. Nkokon Kitinkiti has become a joke now. The minister himself is admitting that people have eaten the chicken. And it's become like a joke. This is a major economic policy that's supposed to reduce our import of poultry and create jobs. Now it's become a joke that people have eaten the poultry. Then there are parts of the Nkokon Kitinkiti that he says he's not even aware of. I'm sure you followed all of those conversations. So if you look at their own programs that they promised, the programs which were supposed to create jobs, expand this economy, improve people's livelihoods, they've abandoned all of those ones. And all that they are banking their hopes on is Baumia's domestic gold purchase program, and this time just divert the forex, pump it onto the market, and hope that they can keep the currency at about 10 and say that, therefore, everything is solved. But the Ghanaian economic problem is actually in various areas getting worse, because as I keep telling you, they are now deferring the pain to the back. You already have a bill of about 93 billion Ghana cedis that you have to pay. They don't want you to talk about it, but you're going to have to pay that, but they're going to have to confront it at some point. Apart from that 93 billion Ghana cedi debt that they have left for you at the central bank for you to go and pay, they are also racking up huge arrears. You heard when they came with this voodoo thing that they had done some calculation and found arrears of about 67 billion. And they had given it to the Auditor General to go and check. The Auditor General, and they did that because they wanted to recast the primary balance and say that we did a worse job than we claimed we had done, or we did a bad job. And they achieved that. They found this so-called 67, adjusted the primary balance, and got the IMF to say that, oh, then there were fiscal slippages. Then they gave it to the Auditor General to go and audit. The Auditor General went and came back and said, even if I use this formula, it's not 67. It's wholly inflated. It's about 45. Now, that 45, how much are you actually clearing so that you don't have arrears? They're not clearing those arrears significantly. So, apart from this 93, they have other arrears that they are piling up for you to come and pay. If there's one thing I'll commend him on the fiscals, is the commitment controls that he has introduced, so that the rate at which we rack up further commitments, is curtailed. That one I've always said everywhere that it's a smart thing that any smart finance minister should do. But that's what everybody does. You build on what you inherited. But the bigger picture is that they've abandoned their, economic program, and they're just focusing on just pumping of the dollars into the economy as if that will save the whole Ghanaian economy. And now what that thing is doing is that it's racking up huge costs. Let me just end. This 22 billion, there's a direct cost of it, which I've told you, it adds up to the 93 billion you're coming to pay. Then there's the opportunity cost. What could you have done with this 22 billion? Apart from this 22 billion, so far, when I brought the central bank governor in, at the time we had intermediated about 10 billion. Now it's about $18 billion pumped onto the market, just to keep the currency where it is.
So where is that dollar?
Pumped onto the market.
And what does it mean? Ordinary people don't understand.
So what it means is that ordinarily, the demand and supply for forex would have caused the currency to depreciate. The government doesn't want you to see that. So they have gone into a bit of our reserves, and then a bit of what should have even gone into our reserves from the domestic gold purchase program. They've let it loose onto the market. So
they've given it to who?
So they've sold it to the people who are demanding forex. And essentially what
like oil importers?
Oil importers, people going to bring WIG, people going to bring Q-Tex, people going to bring all sorts of things.
They sold it directly to them?
They sold it through the banks to all of these people so that they can keep the price where it is. If they didn't do that, then the currency would depreciate. But, by doing that, actually what you are doing is that you are subsidizing importation. So now, imported products of a certain caliber are cheaper than the locally manufactured component. So you are subsidizing importation, and then you are exporting those jobs.
So many people are going to switch from production to import.
Of course.
And that jobs are going to
look at what's happening with the local rice farmers and all of these other farmers. It's now cheaper to import the imported component of the same food or the competitor version of those ones. So the rice farmer has milled his rice and is sitting in the rice box.
Yeah, nobody's buying.
Next year, you think the rice farmer is going to invest and plant as much rice as he has done this year. So there are consequences to the things that this government is doing, but it is just interested on the front and glossy figure that we've kept the currency at 10. The sad thing is that the young man is not getting a job. He's been burdened with a $22 billion CD loss, which he's going to come and pay for.
I hear your microphone is gone, so let me take the text messages and then we'll be wrapping up. I'll come back to you. So, who should I start with over there? Okay, Fatih can start then.
All right. So, Rafat Hussaini says you can't walk away from Kojo Nkrumah if he's on the seat. The monumental loss can't be hidden and brushed off as usual. What's Sami afraid of? He should own up to a bipartisan parliament investigation. The 1.7 billion have vanished into thin air and we should go home to sleep. That can't happen. Okay.
Thank you very much, Paul. This is coming from Yemusa Ibrahim Andani. He says, hello, Mr. Paul. It's nice to see Honorable Kojo Nkrumah once again. Indeed, he's a genius. My regards to Honorable Titus Glover, our incoming national organizer of the NPP. Over to you, Ella.
All right, lastly from Alex Tufo, he says, Honorable Kojo Nkrumah and the MPP must take what the majority is doing as a lesson, so that in 2029, when they are in government, they will know what to do and so as to not lose measurably in any elections after 2029. From Hamburg, Germany. Over to you, Paul.
Minister, please wrap it up for us.
Well, we have a lot of work to do ahead of us. And my prayer is that all watchers of our democracy should not even worry so much about which side of the divide they belong to, and therefore just get into attacking or defending. We should be more interested in asking institutions like Parliament and the courts to do what is right and what is fair, regardless of whose ox is God.
Wow, thank you very much. That was Kojo Nkrumah. It's 21 minutes past the top of the hour, 11 o'clock. Long day. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Has Christianity always been one of the religions in the world to you?
No, 1,000 times